Hey, how you doing? My name is Chris. Welcome to my shop. Today I'm going to talk to you about vinegar and steel wool. Iron acetate. A lot of information out there about it. A lot of information not out there about it. I'm going to try to fill you in. Coming up next. Okay, iron acetate. What is it and how do you use it? Well, first of all, what it is a mixture of vinegar and steel wool. The vinegar actually breaks down the steel wool and causes a solution known as iron acetate. And iron acetate takes light wood and turns it dark, or distressed, or aged looking. And it's a great substance to use if you're looking to do kind of a rustic kind of furniture type builds, or if you're looking to have that look on furniture that the wood has been around for a long time, but you're using new wood, you can distress it and make it look a little older with iron acetate. And quickly, just for those of you who don't know, what you normally end up doing is you take a steel wool pad, a fine one. I use the 000 grade. Wash it off in the sink with some soap and water. Dish soap is fine. Just to get the oils off from the factory, because the oils are on there to protect the steel wool from rusting, and we kind of want the thing to break down. So let's get the oil off there. Let it dry out. We'll cut it up into little small pieces, and we'll add about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of vinegar to this, and then we'll let it sit for a couple days. The vinegar will break down the steel wool and give us a solution known as iron acetate. And give me a second, let me grab some, and I'll show you exactly what the end of the process looks like. And here's what the solution looks like after we've had it in the jar for about this is about a day's worth of decomposition for the steel wool. As you can see, the steel wool is still pretty in there. You can see it pretty well, and the vinegar has just gotten a little cloudy looking. I did this yesterday, so it's got another day or two to sit before this will actually be able to be used. But I did want to let you know that there's a way that you can actually decrease the amount of time it takes to create this formula, and it's by doing one of two things: either A, using your microwave, or B, using your stovetop. And what I'm talking about is, before you put your steel wool in your jar, add your 1.5 to 2 cups of vinegar into the jar and put this in the microwave. You don't want to go microwaving steel wool in your microwave, or you'll be explaining to your significant other why the door blew off of it. So, needless to say, you don't want to microwave steel wool. But you can heat up the vinegar. Put it in for I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Get the vinegar good and hot. Then add the steel wool to the jar of vinegar, and it will actually decrease the amount of time that it takes to get this formulation going for you. I guess probably it may decrease it by about 1/2 day, so rather than waiting 2 days like I'm going to, it might be 1.5 days for you if you do it that way. The other way is to simply add the steel wool and the vinegar together in a pot on your stove and bring it to a boil. Let it boil for about a minute, pull it off, grab a funnel, pour the vinegar in here, stuff the steel wool back in the jar, and then you'll have the same 1.5 day time, most likely. But the reason why I don't do that is because I got to warn you, if you do that, your house is going to smell like vinegar. Because heated up vinegar, either in a microwave or on a stovetop, will make your kitchen smell like vinegar, and I'm not really into that. So that's why I'm going to be the patient guy and just let this sit for another day or so, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we can do with it. Okay, I'm sitting down now. That way you know I'm serious. Iron acetate. This is for the people that aren't that familiar with iron acetate. Iron acetate works on some woods, species of woods, better than it does on others. And the reason for that is the tannin content inside certain species of woods. Some woods are higher in tannins than others. Generally speaking, and this is a general term, hardwoods normally have a higher amount of tannins in them than softer woods do. Woods that are typically hardwoods that work well with iron acetate to the point where you can get it really dark, to the point where you can ebonize wood with iron acetate if you'd like, would be like chestnut, if you can find any. Oak is a fantastic source of tannins for the iron acetate to interact with. There are others, cherry, walnut, a lot of tannins in those woods. There are hardwoods, though, however, that don't have a lot of tannins in them. If maple, for instance, is not very high in tannins, but does that mean that iron acetate won't work on it? No, it doesn't. That's the first thing I'd like to dispel. Iron acetate will work on maple. It just won't work to the degree that it works on oak, unless we give it some help, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Other woods that you might want to use iron acetate on that typically have been told to you in the past, it won't work on that kind of wood, well, I'm calling you on it, because yes, it does. Poplar, low in tannins, iron acetate will work. Pine, very low in tannins, iron acetate will work. It will not work directly on the wood the same way it would directly on oak, but it still will work. And I can prove it to you. Hold on one second. Remember this piece of wood I held up initially, where I said it sure is light wood dark? This is a piece of cut off poplar. You gonna tell me there's not a color difference there? There's a color difference. It's not as extreme as the color difference would be on oak, but there's a color difference there. Sorry. Pine, piece of pine. I use this to stir the iron acetate with after a day. Is there a color difference? Don't anybody tell you it won't work on these woods. It will work. And we can do that by introducing, if we want to make the process even more, how would I say, more prevalent. If we want to get the iron acetate to really activate with these lower tannin woods, there's a number of ways we can do it. One of the ways that I used to do it, and I'm not doing it this time around just because it's a pain in the butt, but here we are as woodworkers. We're always trying to get rid of dust in our shops. And you got this moron right now about ready to tell you to hang on to your dust. Certain kinds of dust. I'll tell you why. And you're already going, you're freaking nuts, of course. And no, I'm not. If you're cutting up a lot of oak, if you're cutting up a lot of walnut, the woods that have high tannin values in it, save your sawdust. Because what you can do with that sawdust is make a tea out of it. Save your sawdust, put it in the pot, and put it on your stove, put some water in there, bring it to a boil. And what you're actually doing is you're boiling the tannins out of the wood and getting it into a liquid form. Strain that mixture that I just told you to boil in kind of a tea substance, without the tea bag. Strain it through a coffee filter. Hang on to that liquid because that liquid is going to be very high in tannins. You can then take that liquid and apply it to your softwoods that aren't high in tannins. Let that soak into this wood and then apply your iron acetate to it, and the iron acetate will interact with the tannins that you have introduced into the wood. That will increase the effect iron acetate has on softer woods, or the woods that typically I've been told to you it doesn't work on. Yes, it does. Okay, another formula that you can use to introduce tannins into wood that don't typically have a lot of tannins in them is tea. Tea, and tea, just like wood, different teas have different amounts of tannins actually in the tea. But by the way, they don't have any tannic acid, so just to clear that up, tannic acid isn't required, isn't a necessary ingredient for iron acetate to work on wood. And I don't even want to get into that whole conversation. You go talk to Dr. Oz again about that. I'm just going to tell you that tea has tannins in it. You can make a formula of really strong tea. And the teas that I found that work best are actually the breakfast teas, like the English breakfast tea or the Irish breakfast tea. I'm going to take about 10 of these tea bags and then about 2 or 3 cups of water. I'm going to boil it and then let it steep, and then I'm going to strain it and put that into a jar, and I'm going to treat the woods that normally don't have a lot of tannins in them, the maple, the poplar, the pine, a piece of each I will do, and I will introduce the tea mixture in it, and then I will introduce the iron acetate to those pieces after the tea has been absorbed somewhat into the wood, and I'll show you the differences there. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to cut, I got 3 pieces of pine, 3 pieces of poplar. I'll cut the maple up into 3 pieces and the oak up into 3 different pieces, and we'll go through 3 different steps, and I'll show you the differences and the different things that you can do with iron acetate on all these different woods, and I'll show you the effects of it. But before we get to that, this is where you get a chance to call me a jerk. I'm going to end this video here because I know I'm already lengthy into it. I'll put out a companion video to this that will come out, if not the same day, then immediately after the following day. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about and how the iron acetate will work on these 4 different pieces of woods that I have here. And there are literally thousands of things that you can do with iron acetate. You just need to experiment yourself. But I'll have that video out ASAP. I certainly promise you I will do that. So until then, you guys take care. Get out in your shops, make that first cut, and get something done. I'll talk to you later.